Okay, this is really funny.
Okay. Do I need to scoot you more?
Okay. So stay there. Yeah, stay right there. Wow.
When food and life meet, Xochii de la noche.
Ooh, I like that. I didn't even have to tell you to do it hard. You just like knew.
That's right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We had a little some SMR. What is ASMR? Oh my God, our set today is the beach with Xochii here. Oh my gosh. Okay, so some disclaimers. It's a little windy, so we don't know how this is gonna go.
Hopefully it sounds okay.
Hopefully you can hear us. We have these mics and we, for the first time, are using this, I don't know what you call it, but for the wind counseling. But hopefully it all works out, because today we're gonna be talking to Xochii, which is, we'll get into it in just a second about how special this is, but she also suggested some really good food here in Long Beach, which is from...
It's a place on 4th Street called Taqueria Mexicana, and they are a cash-only, hole-in-the-wall spot, so that's how you know it's legit.
I was going to say, I was like, when you said that, I was like, getting cash right now, yeah.
And it's, whenever anyone asks me about places that, food places in Long Beach, I send them there first, if they eat meat. But I think they have vegetarian options. I've just never tried any of them.
And today we don't have those options, but what we do have is, let's bust out the food. Let's do it.
More ASMR.
California burrito with carne asada.
Yes. And guacamole.
And guacamole and sour cream. And we had to get a torta because it's donas and tortas. We're going to try it out. We'll have a little bite. And then Anna, I'll save the rest of my half with you. Okay. So you go ahead and start opening up your burrito. I want to do a little proper introduction here with Xochii. So it's really special when people reach out to you and say, hey, I checked out one of your interviews and oh my gosh, I was moved. And I was like, oh my God, I am moved right now. And you are one of the first people who have reached out to me and have, this work is, it's hard, you don't know where this is going to go. but I just know that this is what I was meant to do. And for you to have reached out to me, it was just kind of like a holy shit, this, I don't know, it just makes it real. It makes it real, to be totally honest with you. I was really caught off guard. I was like, what? I was like, what? And then she proceeds to basically ask me if I would like to interview her. And I was like, yes. And, we had our conversation, and there's a lot to share with your story that I'm really excited about, from food to self-expression and movement and just being queer and all this stuff. There's a lot there. So this is very cool.
I'm excited.
May I ask, what made you go for it? Ask me, that's pretty
Well, let me close this.
Oh yeah, close out the burrito and then we may have to.
So I saw Diana from the Goddess Mercado. She had posted her interview, and I watched the whole thing, and I really admired the way that you, one, had food with your interview, because I feel like I rarely see food in interviews.
People don't know how to eat on camera, and I'm like, dude, we're doing it.
So that was one thing, is that I really love food, and I think that's a really easy way to connect with people over food, over a meal. And I really admired the questions that you had that were really thoughtful, the honesty and the vulnerability. Yeah. I think as I'm trying to figure out who I want to connect with and create art with and share pieces of myself, I always feel really comfortable with other queer Latine. So for me it was a no-brainer, especially after watching that episode.
Dude, you're giving me chills right now. It's crazy how I want to create a space where there are queer Latina people, and so to me it's it's working, we're attracting each other. Yeah. We're finding each other, right? Yeah. And we're finding good food. So let's get into it, shall we? Okay, first bite, y'all. This is very and the tortilla already, I can tell.
Right, exactly. It's the
tortilla
homemade.
Says it all. Yeah, the homemade. Okay, well, cheers. And we're very hungry, so this is gonna work out.
Yeah.
I don't think we mentioned this, but there's fries in here. Wow. And then you made a good call. You wanted to put in guacamole in there, so.
So the California burrito, so I preface this with saying that I am very proudly bisexual. I'm also very proudly polyamorous. So my nesting partner that I've been with for a while, they're from San Diego. And they introduced me to California burritos, which are, I guess they were born in San Diego. But
I didn't know that. Really?
They are carne asada, French fries, usually sour cream, cheese, and guacamole. And
oh my God.
They have done the work of going to a lot of places in Los Angeles to find the perfect California burrito and carne asada fries. And so this is one of the places that like we've been able to find that this is the closest to what they sell in San Diego. You just have to add the guac, which is fine.
Which is fine. I mean, it definitely elevates it.
It's yeah.
I love that you found it for us. So we have found it for you. I like the meat. I feel like a lot of the times some places like the meat is not discussed. Like I'm like, this is good meat.
It's good meat.
It's good meat.
It's good meat. And it reminds me too, like my dad used to make carne asada barbecues all the time. And it was always so juicy and full of flavor. And so this one like also just reminds me a lot about my dad.
I'm like, I already want to ask questions. I think food. Come on, I gotta finish this bite. I gotta finish this bite.
Oh, don't forget the green salsa too.
Oh yeah, we can't forget that. Is it spicy?
It's a little spicy.
A little spicy?
Yeah.
So it's, well, the good thing this is my blanket because I just got salsa over it. Oops. No, like, I mean, I think a lot of the things that we talked about too, about like how food takes you places, takes you back. And so you talking about that, like, you're totally right. Like, I remember going to, have family in Ensenada. And we would have carne asadas, and it takes you back. Like when you eat certain food, it does take you back to those places. Do you find yourself like searching to feel those moments in food? Like, do you?
Yeah, I think when I was growing up, I was really against cooking because I really was opposed to doing things that were traditionally for women. And I always thought that like, I don't want to cook. Like, I want to go do all these other things. Like my younger brother didn't have to cook. I was always watching and helping my mom in the kitchen. And so I think there was a sort of like resistance to wanting to learn how to cook. But now that I'm older and kind of a little bit more distant from my family, I'm always now craving the same things that she used to make me.
Okay.
And they're also, as I've learned too, a lot of it was budget friendly. And so now that...
What are you cooking now? Yeah, I'm like, what's going on in your home?
Well, I've tried to learn, one of my favorite things that I like to make that I now feel really good about is my enchiladas.
Ooh.
They're red chili enchiladas.
Ooh.
So that one I feel really good about. I've been really trying to work up the courage to make pozole.
Oh, what?
Yeah, which I've learned too that making the same red sauce for the enchiladas is kind of the same process for making the sauce for the pozole. Oh, so that's why I'm like, okay, well,
there's a
So it has me feeling a little bit more comfortable.
Oh my God! Well, let us know how that goes, and let us know if we can try it.
Yeah. I've made enchiladas for like work potlucks when I was still like in the office in the before times.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm a big fan of enchiladas, and like my mom was not much of a. I love her, but she for her cooking was like But I find now that like even the things that she was able to make, I'm like I'm trying to like at least have a good like base, like make some good lentejas, It's interesting how you're talking about like how cooking, like you weren't sure about like about doing it, right? And like diving into that. But I've recently like realized that like my favorite thing to do in terms of cooking is cooking breakfast. And it's not because it's just more of like a me thing. It's like my time to like cut up the vegetables for the omelet, or cut up the fruit, or just like be there with the egg and make sure it's like, I don't know, it's like this sort of peacefulness to being by myself and doing that. I don't know if that resonates with you, but like
For me, it doesn't. I always found cooking to be stressful, but I see how it is because you take the time with it. And I think when I do
only breakfast though,
only
everything
breakfast,
else,
okay.
yeah.
I do like cooking breakfast. I feel like that's one of the like easier ones that I felt really comfortable doing. And now I'm like exploring like with meats and like chicken and fish. I'm just always really scared, and it's really hard to mess up like eggs and bacon and hash browns.
You know?
So I don't find it very relaxing, but I see how it can be very relaxing.
It can be. Any food that you do that you get excited about? Because I feel like yeah, okay, then go for it. I'm like, go for it, because I'm just like, I feel like, I don't know, it's like, can we talk about how like food can be exciting, like get excited about?
So when I was growing up, I used to be very picky.
Okay.
But as I got older, especially after I moved to California.
Where were you originally? Do you mind sharing?
I was in Denver.
Okay.
So I was born in Texas and I grew up in Denver, and then I moved to California, but my family immigrated from parts of Mexico and El Salvador, and they immigrated here. So I kind of did like a big
loop. Yeah, I was gonna say like that is a loop. Yeah.
But when I came back to California, I was exposed to so many different foods, like Vietnamese food, Filipino food, seafood. I wasn't a huge seafood person. Indian food. So I just get excited about food. I'm not very picky anymore.
How did that? I have to ask, like, how do you? Because I hear this a lot. It's like, how do you get from like being picky to like now you're like super open? Like, was there something that happened? Like you tried a certain food and you're like, wait, maybe I should keep trying other food? Or
I think as I got older, people were really patient with me and would tell me, oh, I should just try it, and if I don't like it, I don't have to eat it. Or like let me take a bite of their food. And so if I just took a bite, usually what ends up happening is I take a bite and I'm like, oh wait, could I have another bite?
You're like, damn,
right. And so now like I'll usually try a lot of things at least once.
Yeah.
And even then, if it's stuff that I don't like, I will try it once, and if I don't like it, I'll wait a few years and I'll try it again, because maybe like things have changed.
Yeah.
But that hasn't happened with like tomatoes. Tomatoes are not huge for me.
Not your jam?
Not my jam.
I feel the same way about zucchini. Like I just like, it's like this, like I was like, I'm trying to get you, but it's just I get that feeling. But you gotta be open. I like that you're like open. You're like, maybe this will change.
I'm not a huge fan of like squid or like octopus or calamari. That one I've tried a few times because I see how much joy it brings to people.
That's what I ask myself too, right? You're like, well, if everyone likes it,
it's like expensive, so like I want to, be kind of bougie sometimes.
Have you ever had oysters? I've never had.
I have had oysters.
And
I really like oysters.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay. Because the texture for me, I'm like nervous about it.
Oh, I think I like chewing them. I don't mind chewing them, but I think you're supposed to just swallow them. Like they're just supposed to.
Oh, so then what do you taste?
You taste all the flavoring. You do taste like the fishiness of it, and sometimes I've had like grilled oysters.
Oh.
Some in lemon.
Oh, okay.
Some you put. I think it's like a salsa of some sort.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I think it's really good.
I'm like literally trying to like slowly make my way over to an oyster. Like I've been asking a lot. Like at least I'm open to like asking people, like, because I kind of like, what am I afraid of? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like there's almost like kind of like this like, I feel like with food you can like be fearless and be like, okay, well, let's just try it. And like if worst case you don't like it, like.
Yeah, I would go with someone who likes oysters, because that's why I don't really know how to like dress them, because it was always someone that dressed it for me and was like, here's how I like oysters. Yeah. And if you don't like it, then I will happily have the rest of the oysters for myself.
Okay. Okay, I think I know some people. I think I can I'm like, I can muster that a little bit. Okay. Ooh. I just found a big spot with sour cream, by the way. This is so good.
It's so good.
I told her, I was like, we can't eat it all because we want to do some like TikToks after, but this is going to be really hard. That's why I'm like putting the burrito down and being like, okay.
I'm going to now pretend it doesn't exist.
Yeah, we'll just like. Okay, so there's a lot we want to talk about today. Obviously, we're talking about food. We're going to have to come back to food too, actually, but not just yet. There's a few other things I thought would be more kind of help us transition into, something with food is like the relationship with food and what that looks like. So, but we'll talk about that in just a bit. There's a lot of other things that are going on. So I thought it would be kind of cool for you to kind of share a little bit about what you do for a living, I guess, like what it is, the different things that you do. And then I think then I can kind of start asking some questions about the how and the why, You want to share?
So I am a burlesque dancer. I am a DJ. I am a float artist. I'm a teacher. I am a photographer. I do videography now.
She's definitely a foodie as well.
I've started like experimenting with like directing.
What? That's awesome. This is new for me. That one was new. Okay, that's cool.
And also started to experiment with like producing like events. So I do a lot.
Oh my God. Okay, this to me is like really awesome because, I mean, everything you're saying too, it's like, it's really nice to find people that are going for it. Like you are you're doing what you love. You're following what you're passionate about, and I don't know, it's a lot. And I guess we'll start with the burlesque stuff because I feel like what comes to mind to me is like self-expression and being comfortable with who you are. And for me, I just loved that part of what you're doing because I have to tell you, like, people think they look at me and they're like, oh, Jackie's confident. I'm like, dude, like, when I think about my body, it's like the last thing that I'm comfortable with, And so I want to talk about what makes you so comfortable and how burlesque has helped you with that. Because, like, for example, I went to an event the other day and it was like, it was a really fun event, but it was like meant to like wear pink and reds and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I don't have anything that I feel comfortable in. And so I ended up wearing actually this black shirt because I'm like, I feel comfortable in this, And a part of me was like, damn, like, is that okay? Like, I was like, did I limit myself by like, because I'm not comfortable. So yeah, I feel like I'm really, really excited to hear what you have to say about like self-expression and being comfortable with your body. So what do you think? As I bite into my burrito, my beautiful burrito.
Well, I definitely like was not always this confident. I actually, growing up in Denver, it's predominantly white. And so I was a few, if not one of the only people in my class, especially because my school was pretty small, that looked like me. And I had a lot of, even people that called themselves my friends would remind me of that and tease me.
No way. And, yeah, even your own friends.
Yeah. And options are limited.
Right. You're like, well.
But they would tease me a lot about like the ways that I looked, like the color of my skin. And after a while, like you really internalize that. And for a really long time when I was especially in middle school, I tried to do a lot to change the way that I look and to change my hair and to change my body. I was straightening my hair every single day.
What?
And I started doing that in like 6th grade when I was like 13. And I stopped doing that when I moved to California.
Okay. Wait, can I stop you? Because these are the moments. Sorry, I got to get in here. I feel like, wait. There's something there. I'm like, you talk about straightening your hair every day when you're in 6th grade and you're like, do you think about like, as you were like, if you were to go back in that time and you're thinking you're in front of the mirror and you're straightening your hair, what are you thinking about? Are you thinking like, this is how I should do it? This is what the other girls are doing. Like, why am I doing this? Like, do you, like, looking back, what comes to mind about those moments?
I think when I was doing it, it was always thinking about my hair looks better straight. Like, I look better with straight hair because everyone around me has straight hair. Like, I remember envying a lot of the girls around me because they could get out of the shower and their hair would just dry straight. But if I tried to do that, and especially before I knew how to like really style my hair, it would be a mess and it wouldn't come out the same at all. So I could never just walk out of the shower and go to school with my hair wet and have it be slick. And anytime I straightened my hair and I went into the rain, like then my curls would appear again. And anytime I sweated in gym class, like it was a very delicate situation. And I remember just being so frustrated that I just wish my hair was straight like everyone else's. But as I got older and like trying to figure out how to actually care for my hair, then it's like, oh, well, it's because it needs a different care. And I definitely like it a lot better now.
It's beautiful, yeah. I'm all for my hair, unfortunately, has gone. This is like me not doing anything to my hair. It's really sad. It used to be so curly, but I, like you, have spent my time straightening it too, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How does it feel now, like, looking back at that younger self and being like, how have you been able to interact with that version of yourself now that you've kind of are owning who you are, celebrating who you are? I don't know what comes to mind.
Well, therapy.
Whoa.
I've been in therapy for like, I think over 10 years now. And we do a lot of, now my therapist now, we do a lot of like inner child work. So I've been really kind of like tapping into that teenager and that child, and like sitting down with them and like talking with them. And I think before, and I think I still feel a little bit of sadness just knowing that like younger me felt so isolated and felt so uncomfortable with being so different. And I also feel a lot of compassion for her, because I just really want her, even now as an adult, to feel loved as she is. And I don't know, she didn't get a lot of that. I think even like, and this isn't any like hate to my family, like I love them, and it can be very complicated, but they were also, you know, a big part in, and Latina cultures, they were
I was gonna say, I'm like,
in teasing you, you know? And
the whole time, as you're like, I'm literally, as you're saying this, I'm like, dude, like I love my family, but they don't realize the impact they make. And they, unfortunately, instead of like helping you through it, they almost kind of like exacerbate the problem or the issues, and kind of direct you in a way, in a sort of direct or cope in a way that's not healthy for you, right? And so, go on.
My mom was the one who actually taught me how to straighten my hair using a flat iron, you know? So a lot of, you know, it's complicated.
Yeah, it is.
That they also didn't know how to support me in, you know, being unique and different. And they also didn't want me to stand out too, because that was how they survived, immigrating from, you know, completely different countries, and also being picked on, I'm sure. So they also wanted me to fit in as much as, you know, I was able to. Yeah.
That's really real what you said earlier about like the sadness. Like I feel it. I feel, but I'm really happy that you're like, it's cool to hear it, you know, to say it out loud and be like, like there is, you know, as much as we're healing, right, is like to be like, damn, like that is the truth. There is sadness and like feeling sad about like, you know, your inner child or what they experience, and being like, oh man, like it could have been different. And
I think too, I've been sitting with a lot of grief and trying to like, instead of trying to avoid it, really acknowledging that like there are so many experiences like that where I will always probably have grief for that child, that like, they didn't get to experience certain things, or that I will always have like specific memories of how much I really just didn't like myself. And I can't go back and change it. So it's acknowledging and like accepting that grief for my younger self.
And I think maybe our parents might have thought like, oh, like I think when they think of like this sort of self-reflection, you talk about sadness, you talk about grief, but you also mentioned compassion, right? Like I feel like I'm starting to understand that it's like, it's not good or bad, it's all just there. It's all there. It's like I like that you're like getting to the truth of who you are. And how is that helping you? Like getting these truths out of you. Like what do you feel is happening in your life because of this like work? You know, you're smiling. Well, that's a good. I'm happy to see that. You know what I mean?
I mean, I feel so much more like every time I feel like I think I know myself, I learn something new. And I learn like a new truth about myself, or why I operate the way that I do. And I think once you sit with and kind of move through the grief as it comes, because it never goes away. But it I feel like it opens you up to so many more cool experiences that you've never thought about.
Like
so,
what?
Like burlesque.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Then how do you get to burlesque? Yeah.
So like in like 2016, in the before times, I took a burlesque class, and truthfully, I don't even know how I found it.
Okay. It found you.
Yeah, it found me. I just remember I signed up for like a 6-week course in Hollywood, and I thought, I'm gonna do this, and I thought it was just gonna be for fun. And at the end, this like seagull is.
I know, I'm scared a little bit, not gonna lie.
And at the end of it, it was an introductory class, and at the end of it, they said that there was a part 2 to the class of where you come up with a performance name and they get you ready for stage. And I remember thinking to myself at that time, where I was going through a healing process, but I was not ready to take that step. I kept putting these barriers on myself about like, oh, I'm not like a classically trained dancer. I've never been in like a dance class until I was an adult. I am not as thin as everyone around me.
Yeah.
I am the only person of color. So it's just not for me. And maybe one day I'll come back to it. But I think when the pandemic hit and you're kind of forced to sit with yourself and a little bit more isolated than we originally were, I acknowledge that my body, the way that I look, none of these things were probably going to change. And if the world was going to end soon, like I might as well just go for it. And I went for it, and I feel like it keeps continuing to put me in different situations that I never thought I would be in, in the best way.
Okay, good.
Where I've like connected with so many beautiful creators that are also going for it, and I'm meeting more people that, instead of saying, I wish I could do this thing, I'm meeting other people that are like, I just did it. I just did it. There's no more wishing. There's just doing.
No more wishing.
So I spend less time thinking about like the barriers of things, and I'm just like, I should just try it. I should just try it. Like, what's the worst thing that could happen? It doesn't work out, and I say that I did, and that's it.
I freaking love that, because it's almost like you're I don't know, there's so much power in knowing that like you're like, yeah, you're removing these barriers, and you're like, I'm just gonna go for it. And I think that I'm all chef's kiss what you just said, because so many of us are just like, oh, but it's like, but what? Like, and like just do it. Like, and seeing people like you going for it, I'm sure you're also inspiring other people around you, you know? Because I mean, I'm telling you, like, I really want to know, like, when you're dancing, like, so I'll give you some context here, okay? So I really wanted to do a hip hop class, right? My whole life, I was like, I see people dancing hip hop, and I'm like, I want to get in there, you know, because I feel like it's just something that I just naturally like want to do and experience, not for any other reason but to like just move. But I always like, but it's like, but I don't really know how to dance, like, but what, you know, I'm gonna look like a fool. And so last year I was like, I'm gonna go to a hip hop class. Don't clap yet. Just kidding. My foot
No,
is
but taking the first step is huge. Like, that's already the biggest barrier.
Right? And it has to do, I mean, because I've been doing the work, right? I've been like going for things, you know, we open our business and doing this. I'm just like, no, I'm going to do it. Like, this is what I can't like lie to myself anymore. Basically, it was like, I have to be honest with myself about what I really want to do, and I have to go for it. And if nothing happens, at least I know that I tried, you know?
Yeah.
So I go to this class. And dude, we're literally like warming up to like, I'm pretty sure it was like like TLC or something like amazing. And I was like, okay. I was like, this is where I have to be, you know? I'm like, okay. And then we start dancing, and I look at myself in the mirror, and I'm like, who is that? I freaked out. It was really sad. It was like, and it was my first butt, I guess. It was like, but to myself. I looked in the mirror, and I was like, how did I get, like, I didn't like what I saw. I was like, how did I get this big? Like, I was just like, in my head, I'm just like, and it was like messing me up, you know, but I tried, and I was there for an hour, and I did my thing, but I left, and I was just like, I don't know if I can come back to this. Like, it made me think like, oh my God, did I push myself too hard? Like, it stopped me. So
Yep.
I'm sharing this with you because I'm like, how was your experience with burlesque? Because it's like, you go for it. Were there moments where you would talk to yourself, like, did it take time to kind of really liberate yourself to be that comfortable and vulnerable with your body?
Yeah, I mean, it took, because I took the class in 2016, and then I made my like official burlesque debut in 2022.
Okay.
So it took me
a
minute to accept and come to terms with that, and also work through these moments where, you know, I would be in situations like that and I would essentially be triggered. And I think figuring out where I felt comfortable really helped. And I think part of the thing that did help was that everyone, or at least I was pretty stuck at home, and I could have that time to just practice with myself and really get used to seeing myself in the mirror, recording myself, and like seeing myself in video, and not to judge, but to like try my best to have a like practical eye about like, it's not about the way that I look, it's about do I feel good about the movement that I'm doing, and is there something that like I think could be better? And so the more that I kept doing that, because I know when I talk to people about like doing burlesque or dance or flow, one of the biggest pieces of advice is to record yourself and watch yourself, and that's always
that's like scary. I was gonna be like, that sounds terrifying. I'm like, oh,
it's terrifying because
terrifying.
People hate to watch themselves. I used to be the same way, where like I hated to hear the sound of my own voice. And it just took. I like at the beginning of doing burlesque and trying to like build this career, I used to do TikToks, and I hated talking on TikToks. I hated doing lives, and the more I kept doing it, I'm like, it's really not that bad. You know, the more you kind of desensitize yourself to it and just accept that this is just my voice. This is just the way that I talk. This is just the way that my body looks. This is just the way that I move. But yeah, just so having that time by myself to get comfortable. And then you can throw in the added pressure of doing it around other people, because that is a lot of pressure. But once you're at least okay with like yourself and have these truths about yourself, then you can, you know, continue to push yourself little by little.
Did you feel that? I felt that, the truths of ourselves. Yeah, it's just a reoccurring theme here at Donas and Tortas. It's like, it's so dang hard for us to accept those truths and like move with them, like really embrace who you are, how you look, what you know, what is important to you, and move with that. But I do believe, as I'm in my healing journey, as I'm doing this, as I'm getting to know people like you, it's like the more and more I'm reminded of like, it is liberating to just like walk in your truth, and I don't know, like go for the things that you want, you know? I don't know if you want to share, there was a story that you shared with me, the Cinderella story. I don't know if you want to share a little bit about that.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that was a big, there was a story that you shared with me, and I was like, oh my God, like that's powerful. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, so when I was
My foot is totally asleep, by the way. Sorry,
I know,
one second. I'm like, oh my God, my foot is literally.
So when I was in school, when I was in middle school, high school, I was a very artsy kid. So now putting together everything burlesque, like it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I was doing.
Is that beautiful though, to see yourself, to see the connection?
All of these things, like they all make so much sense. And everyone that's known me for an extended period of time is like, no, this all makes so much sense. But when I was in school, I did choir, I did musical theater. I did some theater that wasn't musical, but I was always doing a bunch of extracurricular activities because I liked art, and also because it was the only way that I was let out of the house. Was if I had extracurricular activities and I was like at school. And I remember my senior year, we were doing Cinderella, like the Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella, which is like the Brandy Cinderella.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I was so excited, and I auditioned for the role of Cinderella. I figured like it was my senior year. It was the great send-off.
Yes.
Like this is it. Like this is a culmination. And there was this other girl that I did choir with, and there was always this kind of like unspoken competition between us. Like we would go for the same solos. We would I was an alto, she was a soprano, so
Yeah.
it was always like, I don't know, I always felt like she was trying to be louder than me, and that wasn't the point of choir. But so there's always these kind of like battles between us, and so we both had auditioned for Cinderella, and I got Cinderella. I got the role of Cinderella, and she got the role of the fairy godmother. And after they had announced it, I remember hearing over the next couple of days that like she had been saying to people that it didn't make sense that I was Cinderella because Cinderella was white. And
I couldn't, but when you told me this, I was like, what? Like, straight up, like, just, wow.
And now I laugh at it because it's so funny because that was the version I knew that I didn't even know was like the original,
Right, that's what you
theater
knew.
production of Cinderella.
Yeah.
I knew it as the Brandy and Whitney
Right,
Houston
right,
version of Cinderella. So I
you're
was
like,
what are you talking about?
But to be 17, like this girl to be at her age, like who's gonna kind of be propelled into the real world and is already kind of doing this in high school is just like, damn, like that's.
I was really grateful because, you know, I don't remember how I felt. I'm sure I felt upset. You know, it took away from a really big moment that I had worked really hard for. Like I was doing choir before school. I was doing private lessons with my choir teacher who so graciously offered them for free. This was something that I was very serious about. And so I knew that she was doing that to take that away from me.
Yeah.
But I was really grateful that my choir teacher at the time got wind of it, and she sat everyone down in our cast and was like, if I hear this ever again, you are off the cast.
Wow.
If I ever hear this ever again, you are out of the show, and this stops now. Like, this is unacceptable. And I'm really grateful for her because I had a lot of teacher allies. I didn't have a lot of like friends that
well, at least the older folks got it, right?
But I had a lot of really great teachers that protected me in those moments.
Yeah. Shout out to your...
Shout out to my teachers.
Yeah.
Some of them do still follow me on Instagram.
Do they? Maybe they'll see this. I mean, you know what? I really do believe in like the right people will rally for you, you know? Like that's why community is so important, connecting with people that will rally for you and see you and believe in you. And thank you for sharing that story. Kind of helps me segue into another part of being part of the LGBT community. I think is another part of being Latina and being part of the LGBT community. There's like a layer there of stuff, you know, because you talk about like you know, we talk about your confidence and you're like, well, it wasn't always that way, you know. And I think a lot of people I think they see people part of the community and they're like, oh my God, they're so proud, like calm, you know, tone it down. And I'm like, dude, like you don't know what any of us have been through and how we are this way because we haven't been able to like really been in a space to really love who we are genuinely, right? Fundamentally. So, because, you know, I guess I speak for myself. It's like, you know, my parents were, you know, knock on wood, they're okay. They love me. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Like they're supportive. You know, they were at my wedding, supporting my wedding, but it wasn't always that way. You know, I spent a lot of my youth like really confused and not in a space where I could have somebody to guide me, just to be who you are, right? Yeah. So, how was your experience like growing up in a home that, I don't know what it was like for you, if you want to share.
Yeah, I mean, my parents, I think I've tried to move with the attitude that they did the best that they could.
Yeah.
And, you know, part of the grief is that they didn't have the resources to really accept who I was and support me in that way. And I think part of it is also fear. And with that being said, it was, you know, it was difficult because there was a lot of expectations that they had on me, especially as an eldest daughter.
Oh, you were the eldest.
I was the eldest.
Oh.
And
sorry. those, my big sister too. I know you, the oldest, always get, I have respect for that.
So like the expectations of like school were really high, and they supported my art, but only if I was like the best at doing it. And if I remember one time I tried to do sports, and sports were not my thing, and I didn't think I was very athletic. And they would show up to a few, but it wasn't like they had that sort of like gung ho about the sports that they did, like the art stuff that I did. But yeah, they were very hard on me. They had expectations about what they wanted me to do, like what they saw my future was. And so when I started to come out to them, it was really hard. It was really heartbreaking because they had to let go of all of these ideas about what they thought my future could be. And then in addition to, like, I went to school for about 2 years, and because of like a combo of like me coming out and like financial issues, because even then school was really expensive, I had to drop out of school. And so then that was the added element of like, well, not only am I queer, but also I didn't finish school and I dropped out. And so, you know, that kind of put like some distance in our relationship. And there, you know, to be honest, there's still some there.
Yeah. You mentioned the college thing and how, you know, on top of, you know, what you were facing in financial and whatnot, that is something that is true. It's, you know, you go into from being, you know, a youthful person in high school, and you jump into college, and, you know, if you're dealing with depression or anxiety, you know, how are you able to like manage like this sort of propelling yourself into college and then having to still manage all of that? Like, that's hard. Like, I just want to throw that out there. Like, I'm like, I don't blame you. Like, I'm like, it is hard, and it requires a lot of I don't even know, to be honest. Like,
I mean, it requires a lot of support.
There we go. That's the word.
And I was my family, like, yes, my parents had no idea. Like, you know, even my extended family, like, I was one of the first, if not the first person in my family to go to college and to go to like a traditional university. And so they didn't know how to support me in that. And they just knew that they had those same expectations of me as they did in high school. Like, they wanted all A's, but they also wanted me to take a full course load. They also wanted me to work because they couldn't, you know, financially support me. It's a lot.
It's a lot. I was going to be like,
and I couldn't. I struggled a lot in trying to keep everything together.
Yeah, but hey, I am like. I'm like you. I'm happy to see. I'm really happy to see you smile and laugh, because I think like there's even the word that I love the language you're using, like this idea of like the grief, right? The grief of the knowing that they didn't have the resources that could have maybe helped you get that support, you know. And I think what you have is I feel like you have a lot of perspective, and have a lot of grace on yourself, on what happened in your experience. Like, that's beautiful. You do have it. You do. Like she's like, you do. You have a lot of grace. Like, how do you? Like, I know you mentioned therapy, and obviously it helps that look, y'all, like you're going for what is true to you, what is important to you, and you're going for it. Like, and you're fearless. Oh, that's what it was. Being fearless. As you are being fearless with food, you are fearless with the things you want to experience. And you are creating your reality. You are, when it comes to your career, even your personal life, right? Do you mind talking a little? I've only done one interview with somebody who's polyamorous, so I'm like, oh, another one. I want to hear more, because to me, I'm like, that's what it's about. It's like, I want to bring people perspective, and I want people to understand, like, there's always options, and there's a way in which you can design a life for yourself where you can help you thrive and help people and all that good stuff. So. Yeah.
I mean, I think what really helps is that, like, being queer really helps, because
it really does.
Because what I saw was a very non-varied way of life. And once I kind of threw that out the window, by being queer, by dropping out of college, I feel like I didn't really have a path. And for a while I was really scared about it, because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know, you know, at 30, like, I didn't know what my life was going to look like, if I was going to regret everything. And
let's take a minute to talk about that. Let's take a minute. No, it's real. The fear of, like, because I feel like it's funny, interesting to hear you say this, because to me, I'm like, oh yeah, like there's always this sort of moment in our life where we're like, what is going on? You know, like you're just like, wait, I've been living a while. I've been exploring stuff, trying things, like, you know, and then you're like, wait, like time out. Yeah, like what is happening? What is really happening? Like really? And I think that is really brave of you, because I think people are scared of, like they think that that's like a negative thing. And I'm here to say, like, dude, like those are the moments. That's like, what is it? The fork in the road. And you're like, what path do I go? It's like, it's so, I don't know, I find it so enriching to reflect and to really think about, like, yeah, it's okay. Like, what is going on? Like, who are you? So
Every moment that I've had, like, where there's a fork in the road where it's like, I have to make this decision. And I think the first time was, the first really big time was coming out to my family.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That's a big one.
Hey, cheers to that. It's a big one.
There was this fork in the road where, like, I knew exactly how they were going to react, and I had spent some time, like, prepping and both mentally, financially, knowing that I was like 80% sure it was going to go south.
Yeah.
And
that is not a fun feeling, by the way. Not to like pick on a not a fun feeling, but it is a reality, and I think, like, I do want to pinpoint this because there's going to be future parents, hopefully, that are watching this. And it's like, yeah, there's future parents who, even people who are a little older than us, who may still have some, you know, thoughts around what it means to be part of the LGBT community. But it's like, we're living proof that it's like, let me tell you, if you love your child and you get to learn what they love and get to know who they are, it is so enriching for not only the experience for the child, but for you with the child. Like, it just deepens the love. And I think that's why you have children, right? You want to deepen and have a relationship with your children.
I hope.
I mean, I hope that's what happens, but yeah.
But every time there's been a fork in the road where it's been either choosing to live something that doesn't feel right to me, or doing something that feels really scary, I will always choose the scary thing. Because I think I spent so much of growing up.
Oh my God, I'm like joking because I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to hear what you guys do.
I spent so much of growing up really trying to be someone that I knew I could never be. And it was really harmful, and both, like, for my mental health and my physical health. And the moment that I could do something different, I wanted to try something different.
This is the moment. This is the point of the interview right here, what you just said. This is the moment. That's the message right here. Wow, that's beautiful. Holy shit. So let's talk about you choosing these scary things, okay? What helps? What are the, like, little tips that you have for yourself, whether it's like self-talk, or I want to bring it down even more detail, like, what are moments that you're like, this helped me choose, like, do the scary thing or contemplate it? Yeah.
Now that I'm an adult, having support,
having
a group of people that I really trust, even if it's just one other person, to know that, like, they also see what I'm trying to do, and they see me, and they know that this is what's best for me. Because there are people that will kind of try to scare you away and be like, I don't actually think you should do that. But I feel like those people, unless it's for, like, safety, like personal safety,
sure.
then I don't know if, like, I really feel seen by that. So having, like, a group of people that really see me, and they're like, no, I absolutely see you being happier doing this thing, and I know it's going to be scary, but, like, if you need me to check in on you after, like, I remember when I came out to my brother, there was a few people. I told my younger brother that I was going to do it. My partner, my nesting partner, I told, and I told, I think, one other friend that I was going to do it, and they all were, like, texting me, and they're like, let me know how it goes. And of course it went south. And my brother afterwards texted me, and he was like, I am so proud of you. Like, that took a lot of balls to do. And then I had my partner calling me and asking me if I needed anything, and told me that I was very brave. Like, there was a few people that I trusted with the situation that just reaffirmed what I did was very brave. So having like a group of people, which means a lot to me, because again, growing up, even my people that call themselves my friends, I didn't feel like had my best interests at heart, and kind of deterred me away from doing a lot of those like scary things.
Yeah.
So now I get older, like
Sorry, 1 second. Wait, where's it coming from? Oh, the guy on the bike? Okay, 1 second. And then my foot, hang on, my foot is like, so many times in this interview, you're going to see me like, oh my gosh, okay. Go on.
But yeah, having people that I can trust, and I think just knowing and like talking to myself that like it's only going to be scary for a little bit, and knowing that imagining a future, even if it's like a year, 2 years, 3 years, where I will be happier. And I had no idea what was going to happen when I came out to my family, but I knew in the end, like I was going to feel happier, and I didn't know what that was going to look like. But like here I am, and I am definitely happier. Even though things are complicated with my family, I feel like I've created my own family. Part of that is polyamory, and having a different idea of what like relationships can be and what that means, and questioning those and those like standards and those roles. And I knew I was going to be happier for it in the end. And here I am with grief, but also with a lot of joy.
It's just like a very honest way of seeing what that experience is, because a lot of us think like our blood family is going to be the ones who are gonna that's what you grow up. You grow up with these people, and so you think that they're gonna be there to like nurture you, even in like these really scary moments in your life, which they don't have to be scary. The specifically like understanding who you are if you're part of the LGBT community, but I think that I like when you're saying grief, because it is grief, literally. Like that's the truth. Is okay. So thanks to you, we noticed the camera turned off. We think it's around the moment where I was talking about grief with my dad, potentially. So I'll just say, hearing you say like finding the right term, which is grief, because I feel like grief really honors the experience, which is like, I feel like I didn't, I wasn't met with what I needed, that I know deep in my heart is what I needed, which is like the support of my family at that time. And because I spent I don't know if I got to tell this story, I'll say it really quickly, but basically as soon as I was 8, I didn't have the words for it, right? I knew that I was gay. I knew that I was different, and I knew that I felt a certain way towards girls, and I'm like, And then in high school, I recently told my therapist, I was like, I realized that in high school, I remember I specifically intentionally told myself, I was like, today you get to feel whatever you feel, Jackie. And so there was another girl that I would like make her laugh, and I was just like, I liked how that made me feel, and how I liked seeing her smile and not feeling like shame about it. I know, right? It's like, it's nothing like, I'm not a monster, but I was like, I'm gonna let myself. But then after that, I was like, I went home and I'm like, back to, suppressing, hiding. But there was an aliveness there, right? Like there was a light there. And kind of like you, as you're kind of connecting the dots now, I'm like, there's also a feeling of that as I continue to love who I am and get to meet people like you who also love who they are. And it's really beautiful. So I just, I get it though. It would have been really nice, if our family would have been there to like really be like, oh, sure, like that's how you feel, it's great, and you're like, oh, okay. But that's okay, because I'm sure you feel this way. It's like we are paving a path for the next generation to have people that they can look at and be like. Do you feel that way? Do you feel that sense of like, I wouldn't say responsibility, but do you feel like that what you're doing is definitely going to make an impact for others to come?
I think I always hope that it makes an impact. I try to now so that I don't consider myself old.
No. I was like, what are we talking about here, dude?
But
like,
as
whoa.
I like get older, I do think about like the impact that I want to like leave for future generations, and not necessarily children, but like thinking about like how, like what, I don't know. The more that I learn about like burlesque history, the more that I learn about like queer Latina history, especially here in like Los Angeles and Long Beach, where the network is so strong and there's so many people that have done cool things. Like I find myself thinking about like, what is my responsibility in this, and how can I like make sure that I can grab what I can from the people that are here now and the knowledge that they have now and hold it, and then like continue to like keep feeding that.
Okay, I'm here for this. I'm like, I'm excited for what you're gonna do. Are you kidding me?
So like I'm trying to like like build my own knowledge, and Bella Sin, who's an amazing burlesque performer from Cleveland, does a lot of burlesque history, but particularly like burlesque history on like marginalized folks, so queer burlesquers, Latina burlesquers, black and brown burlesquers, and trying to keep their history from being erased. So like I'm trying to like take all their classes, and so that way like I can also be another person that holds that knowledge. And I just went to the AHAS conference. I don't know if you've heard about it.
No, sounds amazing.
It's the association for is like an association for joteria in like academics and activism.
No kidding. I didn't know that they had that. Okay.
I had no idea it existed, but it was right here in CSU LA and Plaza de la Raza. And it was an intergenerational space where there was folks that are like in their 60s and 70s that are queer and Latina. And there was, you know, newly 18.
I'm so bummed I missed
Well, it happens every 2 years, so this is my little plug for them. But like it was so nice to hear people's like stories, even if just for like a little bit. And so like I think that really also inspired me of being like, what is my responsibility, and like, and not just like living my life like so joyously, because I think that's also part of the responsibility, is like living my life authentically, to show people that there is something that can exist that is outside of these norms, especially for like our culture and our communities that can be so heavily like religious and puritanical still. Showing people that there's another option, and there's a community, and there's history. There's such a rich history. So so I think about that a lot, both in like living and also like what can I like actually like pass down.
Oh my God, my mind is racing with so many like thoughts of like, I think considering what you're doing with directing and producing, I'm like, oh, okay, I see it. Well, we're here for it. So whenever you want to come back and like share, you know, we're here. This is definitely a place to share that information. So. So as you can all tell, mental health is clearly, as we mentioned therapy a couple times, clearly there. And I know we already sort of talked a little bit about it. So I don't know if there's anything in particular. I feel like we've covered a lot of it, but I don't know if there's anything else that comes to mind, because one part that I haven't had a chance, or haven't been able to meet somebody that I can really talk to about this, and I'm really excited to talk about this, is the relationship with food as it pertains to mental health. And so, trigger warning, I will say that if anybody is having any issues with, or struggles with food and whatnot, but I think it's a really important conversation I want to have. Are you open for it? Are we doing this? Okay, we're doing it. Okay. So I guess I'll preface with, for me, I knew I can pinpoint, just like when I said I was 8 years old, I was like, I knew that I started overeating and comfort eating and emotional eating when I was a kid, because I didn't know how to manage my emotions. I couldn't deal with I knew it was gay. I didn't have the terms. I knew there was something, and I just didn't know what to do. And I look back and I'm like, wow, it's been a really challenging time to have a relationship with food that is healthy. And what does that even look like? What does that mean? You know what I mean? And so that's sort of a jumping off ledge here point, is like, I don't know if there's anything you want to share about your experience, and just to open up the topic.
Well, like you, I remember the exact point where I also had developed an eating disorder, and I was 13, and it was the same thing where I so desperately wanted to be like my peers, and a lot of my peers were like a lot thinner than I was. And I remember I had a friend, and she had stayed the night, and I remember looking at her jeans, and so she was in the bathroom or something, so I looked at the tag, and the number was like, I was like, how is this possible? Like, this is, and I just remember that like she had so many friends and like all of the guys had crushes on her, and I'm like, I just need to, that's the answer. To be more desirable, both like romantically and, platonically, was, I guess, to be this, this person. And so I like started to like save my lunch money and skip lunch and eat diet pills instead. And I was not eating, and so I've had a very complicated relationship with food since I was a teenager, and which is so sad now because I love food. I love food so much, and it's again that sadness and compassion that I've been keeping myself from this thing that I love so much. And when I got older, like I didn't even realize I was doing it, but I when I was a teenager, I did a few things that were really dangerous that I didn't realize that were dangerous, like fad diets on the internet that I found that I didn't really look into that could have been really bad, but thankfully were not. But like there was small things that were happening, like my hair was kind of falling out. I was very weak. I was sleepy all the time and drinking a lot of energy drinks for a teenager, way more than I think any teenager should, just to get through my days. And when I was also a senior in high school, I took as a bonus class, again, extracurriculars, I took a college class as an intro to feminism. And there was a whole section on eating disorders and different types of eating disorders. And that's when I started reading it, and I was like,
so before this, you had no idea that...
because I was always, everything that you see on TV, it was always like, if you have an eating disorder, you are dying. Like you are...
That's true.
You are frail. You are like in the... what is it called? Like the recovery centers, like you are like bones. Yeah. And so I always thought like, I'm just being healthy, and people would feed into that and be like, oh, you look so good. You look so thin.
Can we talk about that for a second? Because that feeds into all of this, by the way, this idea of like, yeah, you look so good. It's like, so you're telling me that if I don't lose weight or if I'm not skinny, I don't look good. And the only time, so it's like very conditional. The only time that you're gonna even acknowledge my image is because of that. And like, I just find that to be so incredibly, I know I may sound like duh Jackie, right? But like, I'm literally making the connections now. I'm like, wow, even if you have made, well, two things. Even if you've made any changes or have worked on your mental health, your emotional health, like, can people technically see that when they see you? Maybe not, maybe they do, maybe they can pick up on the energy, but it's only, I feel like it's only unless they see some physical change that they want to acknowledge you. So that's one thing. I'm like, that's kind of crazy. Yeah. And then the second thing is like, but wait, what does it matter? Like, that's the thing that goes back to the heart of like loving what your truth is, because then you're like, wait, so I'm going to just like work out, or I'm going to do this so that some stranger or even my mom or your aunt is going to tell you that. Like, I just feel like the math doesn't add up. There's something like, it just doesn't, there's like, take out the, what is it? It's just not adding up, and I'm just like, I'm here to be like, let's talk about it. Cause I don't know what the answer is, to be totally honest with you, but I know that it is like, the math isn't adding up, and I think we're going to talk about it. So continue. Sorry. I just wanted to be like, when you said that, I was like, I'm triggered right now. I was like, oh, hell no.
Yeah. So I like, people kept feeding into it because they like would either tell me that like I needed to lose weight, or, I remember I have this very, very vivid memory because I did have a quinceañera, and and I remember going doing the first fitting, and my mom was like, you better not gain any weight. It's going to be expensive. And I really, really thought in my mind that I was doing everything right. And then we went back, like a few months later, and the dress didn't fit. And I remember just sobbing in that room, and my mom was so mad at me. And she was like, I told you, not to gain weight. And so it was things like that. It was things like that fed into it, that I thought I was doing a good thing. And so when I read that the passage in the book, I was like, oh my God, like, my heart kind of sank, and I was like, oh, like, I need to stop. And so my mind thought, again, this was before I went to therapy and me trying to kind of figure things out on my own. I thought that, well, if I'm eating, then that means I'm better and I'm not doing the diet pills. I'm not like starving myself, then I'm doing better. So in the summer between my graduating high school and going to college, I thought that if I exercise every day, every single day, that means I was doing it the good way. And I like went down another path of like finding this app that like tracks every single thing that you ate. And I was doing that very obsessively. I was working out and like running every single day when I went to college and on my own and figure out what and was responsible for eating. I went back into not eating, and I realized that like the moment that I really needed help was when I was not able to go to class because I was having really, really awful mental health days because I couldn't find a pair of pants that looked the way that I wanted to look.
Yeah.
And I would just have breakdowns in my dorm room and not be able to come out. And then I would have this like really like kind of violent discussion with myself and like beat myself up really badly about how I needed to do this. And, you know, it just became really obsessive, and it got to a point where like I just couldn't do it anymore. I didn't want to keep doing this. I didn't want to keep being in this cycle. I wanted to enjoy food. I wanted to go to class. I wanted to have fun with my friends. I wanted to not worry about eating pizza or thinking about, I just didn't want to think about it anymore. And so that's when I started to like go to therapy and actually get help for one, trying to eat on a regular schedule again and develop a neutral relationship with food. And I remember my therapist at the time, who was a kind of tough love therapist, but I think that's what I needed at that time.
Yeah.
I remember going to her and being like, I'm having such a hard time. Like I can't get myself to eat. Like when I'm hungry, like I will just go and drink some water and maybe that'll like subside the hunger. She's like, you need to just eat. Like if you just ate, it would, you'll feel better.
Yeah.
And so it took a couple of
like,
conversations of like,
yeah,
working my way back up to trusting my body and listening to my body and knowing that like, oh, if I feel hungry, I should eat something versus, oh, if I feel hungry, I should have some water. And then if I still feel hungry, I should have some more water. Like, you know, like just keep prolonging it. Like, so it took me a while to develop a more neutral relationship to food where it was something that I needed and needed to understand that I needed it to fuel my body and I needed it to get through my days so I wasn't so tired.
Yeah.
And so that was the first step. And then the next step was like finding like joy in food again.
Wait, before we go to the joy, because you're using terms that I really like, can you describe to everyone what you mean by the neutral relationship with food?
My first step of like reconnecting and developing a like healthier relationship with food was knowing that like there is no good or bad food, that it was necessary for me to stay alive, and for me to not again feel tired, for my hair to not keep falling out. Like I was getting these little white spots on my faces, and that it was a necessity to live. And that was the first step. So and like ignoring like and getting rid of the app and not thinking of it as like numbers, which is really hard in California, I've learned.
Dude, you have no idea. Like I literally just deleted last fall. I finally deleted my MyFitnessPal, and then I recently deleted another one that was like for my walking, because I was like, wait, I'm walking now consistently. I don't need this anymore. Like I can just walk in it. I don't have to take numbers on it. For me, that's just like made sense for me. Like just to, but yeah.
That was me too. I needed to take the numbers out of it as much as I could. And I in California, it's hard because in Denver, I don't know if they do it now, but back then, Denver doesn't have like the calories listed on there.
Oh, really?
It doesn't. Or it didn't. I don't know.
Yeah,
now.
You're right. California.
But California, you go and everything is on the menu. Everything's on, I think of In-N-Out. I think that was the first thing I went to. And they have the calories listed on everything. So it's so hard, even though you're trying to not think about numbers, like they are everywhere. So really trying to think about it as like, I like whatever the limit that my MyFitnessPal set, it does not mean anything. That like if you're an active person, you need way more than whatever that number is. And really just trying to think about, I feel hungry, I need to eat something. If it's like a piece of fruit, a salad, you know. Just need to start rebuilding in that way, and then I could be a little bit more like experimental with the food.
Awesome. Okay, so now we can talk about the joy of food. Thank you for sharing that. Now we can move on over to the joy of food.
Well, again, I'm very lucky because California has so many, and Los Angeles and the surrounding Los Angeles area has so much different food. And I think finding love again in like Mexican food was really nice. And
I want to try these enchiladas that you make. Dude, are they green or red?
They're red.
Oh,
they're red.
Okay. Okay, go on.
But like having people around me, one of my other partners, she's exposed me to so many different foods, mostly Asian foods.
Okay.
And I think having that
Anna's the same way, by the way. Anna loves Asian food. Yeah.
I think having that sort of excitement too about like, oh, okay, like this is like, if I think about food as neutral and like, you know, and if I really want to think about it, like it's fish and there are greens, like cultural foods are also healthy, you know, they're not, they can be not, again, neutral. Well,
you know what comes to mind for me is, Anna, I love what you're talking about your partner's excitement, because there's like this sort of beauty, I think, when people get excited about like, oh, let's try this, because it's like, you see like a life in them. Like you see like, I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do it. You know, there's like this exciting, you know, this like adrenaline. And so she introduced me to, when we first started dating, she introduced me to, and I'm not a big soup person, although it's changing now, I think. Excuse me, but she introduced me to soft tofu. Korean soft tofu. Have you ever had this?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Something new to try.
I'm like, you gotta put it in. And I was like, I don't really eat tofu. And I was like, all right. And now let me tell you, like, I haven't found anything like that. And so now I find myself craving it, and it's like, the broth is so good, and you can eat with some kimchi and rice, and it's just like, but had I not like, if I felt like, oh, it's bad or good food, then you're just like, I don't know, I feel like it's very limiting. So yeah, I'm with you on that, and yeah, you should definitely try soft tofu. I like tell everyone as often as I can to try that, because it's like, it's so unique. So yeah.
But yeah, having excitement about food and like seeing someone excited about food and they want to share it with you, like it's, you know, it's rude to say no.
Right? You don't want to say no.
You don't want to say no if someone's so excited about food and wants to share it with you. Like, I'll at least try it, and then so trying different things.
And then eating it all. Like if you like it.
And then, so yeah, just trying to find like excitement in food again.
Yeah.
And I've been really lucky that like my partner that have exposed me to so many foods, and my nesting partner, like they've been really sweet with reassuring me, because there are points in that moment of my journey where I would eat something and then I would be like, oh my God, I'm gonna freak out.
It's okay. Okay. You can say that if you want.
I'm gonna freak out. Like like my mind would start going and be like, what did you just eat? Like, oh my God. And they would be really gentle with me, and, you know, help calm me down and stop my mind from going in those cycles about like trying to calculate all the things that I just ate, and just be like, it's fine. Like,
dude, I see you so much right now. Like, I see you, dude. I'm like, you're not alone. Like, I feel you, and I'm like, yeah, it's you're not alone. Even like what you were saying earlier about like the conversation you would have with yourself when about the genes and stuff, and like that sort of aggressive conversation with yourself, like where you're just like so hard on yourself. It's like, to hear you say that, I'm just like really happy that you're sharing this, because again, it's like hearing you say it really helps me to be like, okay, like, fuck. I'm not like, you feel like in your head sometimes you're like, was I the only one that experienced this? And like when I hear you say stuff like that, I'm like, oh damn, like, I just want to be like this with you. I'm like, girl, it's okay. You know, it's like, but it's the gentleness that your partners are sharing with you. It's like, I know for myself, I got to work on being gentle with myself too, you know?
And it helps too, like, I think when you have those like really healing relationships, it helps, you know, not that like it's impossible to do it without those, but it really does help. Like, when people are gentle with you, you start to think about like, why am I not being gentle with myself? Why am I not?
Oh, okay, now let's talk about that with a torta. That will be the last topic.
Yes.
I like that. Healing relationships. Let's talk about that for a second. As we try this torta, by the way. So that's a great place to end this beautiful conversation with you is, yes, and honestly, whether it's a relationship, honestly, with like romantically or whatnot, and also just friendships too, like when people see you and support you and see the things that you can't see in yourself. I think that's really, I don't know, it's important.
It is important. I have had a lot of relational trauma. So people, like, again, I talk about these people that call themselves my friends that were not very good to me.
Right.
I had another friend that, like, it ended so poorly and was so emotionally abusive that I had to get a restraining order against her. So I've had a lot of like really intense relational trauma. And so I have a hard time trusting people. And so when I have these really healing relationships where I can be my whole self, where there's honest communication, where there's openness and there's proactiveness on both ends. It really does
proactiveness. Let me say that again. They said proactiveness on both ends. Ooh.
And like it's been really healing. And I think with like my partners, like they've been really healing in helping me develop a healthier relationship, like to myself and my body. And then I've had like who I consider like platonic partners that are like such dear friends to me that have really helped reconfigure the ways that like I think about friendships and like trying and reaffirming that like I can have healthy friendships. Like it really, wasn't me. Like it was probably the ways that like I wasn't able to express my own boundaries that like, therapy helps with it.
Oh, I'm like, oh, you got it. You got it. I was like, they got it. She got it.
But they've shown me that I'm completely able to have these beautiful, healing, loving relationships that like keep pushing me to like get into the deeper crevices of myself that I didn't even think that I was going to be able to really address.
I was going to say, I don't know if this is going to hit for you, but I was like, as much as like they're saying this to you, it's like these relationships that you have are proof of that. Mm-hmm. Literally. You know what I mean? Like they are literally the proof of that. And, because I'm going to share something that somebody, I think it was Brooklyn, a therapist told me. But like what you have right now, as you're telling me this, the people you have in your life, like you have as much to do with that as they do. Like you bring you, and they want to be like, how beautiful is that? They're like, oh, well, we want to help you, we want to be there for you. So that's pretty cool. So with that, I hope that you also feel inspired. You feel a little moved. You feel a little daring to do the scary thing. I really like that. Do the scary thing. Right now, we're not going to do a scary thing, but we are going to try this torta. So
I know I haven't had the torta. I always get the California burrito.
All right, tell us the truth. Well, what do you so far? How do you feel about it as you see it?
It looks good.
Okay,
it looks filled.
Okay. Good. Yeah, good. Okay. I know it's a little cold, but it's still good. So good. Is there beans in there?
I think so.
I think so too. Oh, here we go.
What's your verdict?
Oh yeah. Ooh. Between the two though? Mm-hmm. I have to pick one. I'm gonna pick one. I have to. That part I will tell you. It's kind of spicy. I'm getting a hit of. I think they did put a little salsa. I'm gonna say the burrito. Well, the burrito
fries.
Yeah,
it's the fries.
Is it the fries? I'm like, no, that's tortilla though. This tortilla is
really good.
This tortilla is really good. Well, thank you for introducing us to this wonderful burrito.
Yeah, hit up Taqueria Mexicana when you're in Long Beach.
Hit it up. Yeah, we'll put it in the description too if you want to learn more about Xochii and also where to get this food. But yeah, thank you so much for reaching out to us and for sharing your story and for doing what you're doing. And I'm really excited to even learn more about what you're potentially gonna get into. And it's just starting. So yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. We'll see you again?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, cheers. Okay, cool. Cheers.